So I get asked this question a lot, and I see it everywhere throughout the hobby, from live stream chats to video comments, and even people asking me in person, what should I feed my fish? That is a great question. We're going to get into some specifics on that, of what to feed different types of fish and how often to feed them, coming up next. So how often should I feed my fish, you ask? Well, that's a great question. I'm going to recommend that you feed smaller amounts more often throughout the day. So feed only what they can consume within 3 to 5 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day. That way they're getting more food than just one small feeding, but you're not putting a whole lot in at one time and risking that going to the bottom of the tank and just rotting and throwing off your water parameters. While I do recommend feeding frozen foods as well as live foods, today we're going to talk exclusively about dry foods, specifically the Extreme line of products. Now, I'm not paid or endorsed by them in any ways. It's not a sponsored video. I just really love their product. Everything from the fish food to the container is sourced locally in the United States, and it's a really great product. So that being said, let's look at some of the things that I feed to specific fish that I have in different tanks. As you can see in this tank, we've got everything from some tetras to gouramis, African cichlids. There's a black widow cichlid in here, and even rainbow fish. So this is not necessarily a variety of fish that I would recommend the beginning keeper to have together, but it is one of the tanks that I have here in the house. All of these fish eat everything from the Community Crave flake to krill flake, the nano pellets, and the nice pellets. Most of the fish that you'll find that are common in the hobby, your barbs, your tetras, rasboras, angelfish, danios, you name it, most of those things you can still give them a varied diet by feeding the krill flake, Community Crave flake, and the nano flake. And then if you've got fish that have larger mouths, you can go to the nice pellet. That's 1.5 millimeter semi-floating pellet, and it's great for angelfish and things like that. So I have a lot of guppies in the fish room. The main thing I feed them is the Extreme Nano Pellet. It's got a really high protein content, which is really great for the growth and development of the fry, and just for the overall fish in general. I do also feed them the Community Crave flake and the krill flake, and then some frozen foods on top of those things. But I mix it up, so maybe I'll feed in the mornings the nano pellet. I'll come back and do a midday feeding, crush up some of that krill flake in there, and then at night I'll feed the nano pellet again, and then the next day I'll use the other flake instead in the midday. Now, I do feed my guppies more than 3 times a day. Normally I'll feed them the nano pellet in the morning, and then I'll come through during the day and give them some of the krill flake, and then later they'll get the Community Crave, and then at night I usually end that with either some more of the nano pellet or some live food. That being said, if you're new to the hobby and you're still kind of adjusting to how much and how often to feed your fish, I wouldn't recommend going over the 3 times a day. So what you could do is feed your nano pellet morning and night, and then one day in the middle of the day you feed the krill flake, and then the next day you use that Community Crave flake instead, and you'll find that you get a lot of great growth and color out of your guppies, and that they stay pretty healthy. So if you have shrimp, I recommend their Shrimpy pellet. I really like it because it doesn't dissolve really quickly in the water and just muck up the water clarity. The shrimp really enjoy it. All of my shrimp get this pellet, and then they get some other things as well. Sometimes I'll drop in, some of the nice pellets or maybe some flakes in there. But this is the primary staple that I feed to my shrimp, and they really like it. After a couple of minutes of the pellet being in the tank, you'll start to see your little community of shrimp gather around it and sometimes even fight over it. You maybe want to add another one in there for them. So in terms of your plecos, Extreme offers a cat scraper wafer. I feed that to all of the plecos that I have, everything from the blue-eyed lemons that you see here to the Sultan pleco that you're about to see. That guy loves it so much he'll come out middle of the day, lights on, fight off the angelfish and the other fish in the tank just so he can get a hold of it. He really enjoys those. I will also from time to time throw in some nice pellets to sink to the bottom. I find that my plecos enjoy those, as well as occasionally a monster pellet. So Extreme does also offer a betta pellet. However, it is kind of large, and unless your betta is fully grown, it may have some difficulties eating that. Try the nano pellet. I think that is a very good substitute until your betta gets big enough. Or you can use the provided spoon to dig around and get the smaller pellets out. Once again, I'm not sponsored by Extreme, but just so you understand how much I love their products, I'm currently using their monster pellet, the big fella pellet, the nice pellet, their nano pellet, the Community Crave Flake, the Krill Flake, their Cat Scrapers Wafer, and the Shrimpy product. So that pretty much covers just about anything that you would need to feed in your aquariums, and I know it certainly covers everything I need to feed in mine. I appreciate you watching, and I certainly hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you haven't already, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and ding the notification bell. It's free for you, and it really does help me out. I do a live stream twice a week, so maybe I'll see you there and I can answer some questions live for you if you have any more. Until next time, keep your fish healthy, keep yourself healthy, catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take care.